One moment your kitchen looks like it jumped straight out of a magazine, and 6 months later, it just looks wrong. And you are wondering, what went wrong so fast? After years of seeing kitchen renovations up close, what went wrong usually comes down to a few early design decisions. They felt good at the time, looked great on paper, but have now turned out to be mistakes that frustrate you daily. Today, I'll be talking about 12 of these kitchen design mistakes. A few of these are still everywhere right now, and one of them affects how your entire house smells, not just how it looks. Let's start with something almost everyone does without realizing it's a trap. Coming up at number 12, chasing design trends. I blame social media for this. It fills us with all sorts of ideas for designs. Today it's all black everything, tomorrow it's that common specific sage green aesthetic, and the next month, gold hardware everywhere. The temptations of those designs are just intense. They feel fresh and modern and everyone's doing it. So you thought it must be the right design for you and commit fully. Except a few months have passed and that design that felt cutting edge now feels out of place. Your modern renovation feels locked in a specific era. The irony. Rather than locking the kitchen into an era, the better move is selecting elements with staying power. Classic cabinet profiles, neutral foundation colors, hardware finishes that have existed for generations. Save trendy elements for accessories, removable wallpaper, bar stools that swap out easily. Permanent installation should be quietly elegant rather than loudly of the moment. Also, beware of where you look to for inspiration. Just as social media can lead you astray, so can doing number 11, which is looking to big box store displays for design ideas. Walk into any large home improvement retailer, and you'll see kitchen displays showcasing different styles and finishes arranged to demonstrate available products. These catch attention because they're convenient when you're already shopping. They show products in context rather than just samples. But here's the reality. These displays showcase product variety, not cohesive design. They mix multiple patterns that compete for attention. Busy granite paired with intricate mosaic tile, different cabinet styles crammed together. The result is visual chaos. Using these as blueprints creates kitchens that feel disjointed and overwhelming. Your eyes won't know where to settle because every surface demands attention. Imagine not feeling calm in a space you'll be interacting with every day. That frustration can take every form of joy away from meal preparation. So instead of big box stores, better inspiration comes from design blogs featuring real homes, portfolio work from kitchen designers, dedicated kitchen showrooms that understand harmonious spaces. Or you could just watch a couple of my videos too. And remember, big box stores are for sourcing materials, not design guidance. Big box stores won't stop you from making this design mistake. Coming up at number 10. Ignoring your space's architectural character. Some kitchens have interesting built-in features. Angled ceilings, exposed beams, large windows, unusual nooks. The instinct is working around these elements. They feel like obstacles to standard layouts, so you ignore or hide them. But when you do this, you are missing the opportunity to add uniqueness to your kitchen. That angled ceiling could have been a focal point. The beams could have added irreplaceable character. The nook would have been perfect for a breakfast area. Instead, you've created a generic kitchen that could exist anywhere. Architectural features are permanent assets. Once you cover them, undoing that decision costs significantly. Homes people remember work with their quirks, not against them. Kitchens designed around unique features feel custom rather than template-driven. Before finalizing the layout, understand what makes your space unique and showcase it. Have you seen any of these mistakes in your home so far? Or are there any you would have made? Hit that subscribe button if you're finding this useful. Now, let us talk about materials that look stunning but perform terribly. Moving on to number 9. Selecting surfaces that require constant maintenance. White marble countertops look stunning. Glossy cabinet finishes create high-end reflective quality. Dramatic natural stone becomes an instant focal point. These feel like investments in quality and beauty. Then you cook your first real meal. The white marble stains within minutes, and the glossy cabinets show every fingerprint and splash. The stone requires specific cleaning products nobody warned you about. And cleaning them is not particularly an interesting thing to do, especially when you have to do it every day or risk your kitchen looking filthy. The fix is choosing materials based on real life. Matte finishes on cabinets, quartz or granite with variation instead of pure white, flooring that masks normal wear. These practical choices don't sacrifice style. They age gracefully rather than fighting you daily. And while we're discussing material choices that backfire, let's address another surface decision. Coming in at number 8, choosing budget countertops to save money. When costs climb, countertops become tempting targets for cuts. The difference between quality options and cheaper alternatives runs several $1,000s. The logic makes sense initially. Why spend extra when they all serve the same function? But 5 months in, and that logic becomes a source of pain. Cheaper countertops show damage fast. It could be scratches from normal use, heat marks from pans, or edges chipping at the slightest contact. These cheap countertops end up dragging down the entire kitchen's value. The frustration compounds because countertops aren't easily replaced. You're stuck with surfaces that degrade visibly while everything else looks good. The better move is prioritizing countertop quality, even if it means scaling back elsewhere temporarily. You can upgrade fixtures later, but countertops set the foundation for how your kitchen ages. If your budget is tight, choose mid-range quartz or granite. Substantial quality without boutique pricing. Quality matters for every part of your kitchen, especially the tools you use daily. Let's talk about when you choose basic appliances for your kitchen. Coming up at number 7, going with the most basic appliances available. Standard appliances do the job. They perform core functions. When budgets are tight, they seem reasonable. Then you use your kitchen daily for about 7 months, and the thought of cooking already drains you. You notice the basic range has limited power. The refrigerator lacks organizational features. The dishwasher is loud and cleans poorly. Already cooking can be chaotic, but these daily frustrations add to that chaos. For kitchens meant to last 15 years, appliances matter enormously. They're tools you use multiple times daily. So, identify which appliances matter most to your cooking style. You don't need top-of-the-line everything, but choosing appliances that support how you actually cook changes daily experience significantly. And speaking of daily experiences, everyone who has made the mistake at number 6 ends up doing aggressive remodeling. And I am talking about choosing base cabinets with doors instead of drawers. I get it, standard base cabinets with doors cost less than drawer systems. And they seem functional too, but try actually storing things inside. Those deep cabinets become black holes. Items in the back require kneeling and reaching blindly. Heavy pots mean pulling out front ones to access what you need, and because of this, daily cooking becomes frustrating. Deep drawer banks solve this entirely. Pull open a drawer and see everything. Access heavy cookware without contortions. Actually use full storage because nothing hides. The cost difference seems significant up front, but proves worthwhile over years of daily use. Your knees and back will thank you. If your budget requires choosing, prioritize drawers in the most used zones. Near the cooktop for pots, in prep areas for utensils. And while we're discussing layout choices that affect daily workflow, here's one that seems practical but creates constant problems. Number 5 covers placing the sink in your island. Islands are the hot ticket in kitchen design. They provide extra counter space, additional seating, and a central gathering point. When planning the layout, putting the sink in the island seems logical. It faces into the room, allows interaction while cleaning up, and frees perimeter counter space for other uses. But here's what you eventually find out. That sink becomes the visual focal point of your entire space. When people enter your kitchen, they're looking directly at dishes piled in the basin. The island that should be an attractive gathering space instead draws attention to cleanup chaos. You find yourself frantically clearing the sink before guests arrive because there's no way to conceal the mess. It changes how you use your own kitchen because you're constantly managing appearances. Beyond the aesthetic issues, there are practical problems too. Water splashes create a constant mess on the island's seating side, where people are trying to eat or work. Dish soap bottles, sponges, and scrub brushes clutter your main workspace because they need to live near the sink. The garbage disposal placement means noise right where people congregate and try to have conversation. All of these would make that kitchen island a deserted one. The better setup keeps sinks along perimeter walls. This positions cleanup away from socializing zones and main work areas. It gives you a proper backsplash for mounting fixtures and handling inevitable splashes, and also helps maintain your island as a clean workspace and comfortable gathering area rather than a utility zone. That said, now we move on to the design mistake that quietly undermines everything. Coming up at 4, not establishing visual flow between elements. Flow happens through intentional coordination, colors that harmonize rather than clash, finishes that complement instead of compete, patterns scaled appropriately so they don't fight for attention, textures that create balance throughout the space. Without this careful attention, kitchens feel disjointed and chaotic. I see this mistake constantly when people select each element independently. They choose countertops during one shopping trip at one store, cabinets from a different source weeks later, tile from somewhere else entirely, hardware online. Each decision made in isolation without considering how pieces work together as a unified whole. So the kitchen feels random rather than thoughtfully designed. Imagine spending significant money on your kitchen, but it lacks the cohesive polish of spaces that flow naturally. To create that natural flow, you have to view your kitchen as one complete composition from the start. Select a consistent color palette that runs throughout, perhaps 3 to 4 colors maximum that all work together. Choose finishes that share similar tone and warmth levels. Ensure patterns don't compete for attention by carefully varying their scale and placement. The goal is walking into your kitchen and immediately feeling that everything belongs together. Not because it's all matching and monotonous, but because thoughtful choices create visual coherence that feels effortless. But even if your kitchen flow is natural, this design mistake at number 3 will undermine it. And I am talking about having inadequate or poorly planned lighting. Many kitchens rely primarily on ceiling fixtures, a few recessed lights, maybe pendants over the island. It seems adequate when lights are on and the space is empty. Then you actually try cooking. You're working at the counter, but your body blocks overhead light, creating shadows exactly where you're trying to see. Reading recipes requires squinting. Detailed prep work strains your eyes. Evening cooking becomes particularly frustrating. Overhead lights create harsh glare but don't illuminate work surfaces effectively. What makes this worse is recognizing the solution after construction completes. You realize you need task lighting under cabinets, pendants positioned to illuminate work zones, and dimmer controls. Effective kitchen lighting layers 3 types: ambient for general illumination, task lights at work surfaces, accent lighting for atmosphere. Under cabinet LED strips dramatically improve prep area visibility. Properly placed pendants turn your island into a genuinely usable workspace. Dimmers let you adjust based on activity. Bright for cooking, softer for entertaining. These additions cost relatively little during renovation but become expensive fixes afterward. And now we're moving into a mistake that affects your entire home, not just your kitchen. Number 2, not planning adequate ventilation. Ventilation systems handle the unsexy side of kitchen function. They remove cooking odors, steam, and excess heat. Basic kitchen hoods can help with this, and they are cost-effective too. This seems fine until you start cooking regularly. You find out that the underpowered basic hood doesn't capture smoke effectively. Airborne grease travels throughout your home. Strong odors linger for hours. Steam fogs windows and deposits moisture everywhere. In open-concept homes, this can become really problematic. The kitchen connects directly to living areas. Whatever you cook becomes the scent of your entire first floor. This is actually the scenario I hear repeatedly. Homeowners also tell me about how steam damages cabinet finishes because ventilation couldn't handle moisture. Even appliances would have shorter appliance lifespan because of the excess heat and moisture. Fixing the ventilation problems requires proper kitchen hoods. More powerful burners need higher capacity hoods. The system should vent outside rather than recirculate. Ductwork should be as direct as possible. If you cook frequently, prioritize ventilation capacity over hood appearance. Your kitchen's air quality affects comfort for everyone in your home. And now for number 1, the fundamental mistake that affects everything else in your kitchen. Completely ignoring kitchen workflow and the work triangle. The work triangle isn't a new design theory. It's been around since the 40s. The concept is straightforward. Your sink, stove, and refrigerator should form a triangular path where each leg measures between 4 and 9 feet, with the total perimeter between 13 and 26 feet. This feels like outdated advice to many people. Modern kitchens are larger and more complex. Design priorities have shifted. People rarely learn this principle anymore and assume intuitive placement will work fine. Then you start using the space, and daily meal preparation becomes a walking workout. Your refrigerator sits far from both prep areas and the cooking zone. You're constantly walking back and forth with ingredients, covering unnecessary distance just to gather what you need. The path between sink and stove gets interrupted by your island placement, so you're navigating around obstacles constantly. Your most used areas are scattered rather than efficiently connected. I worked with a couple who renovated without considering workflow. Their refrigerator ended up across the room from their main prep counter. Every single meal meant multiple trips just to gather ingredients. After 6 months, they were already discussing another renovation to move the refrigerator closer. Your frustration increases during busy cooking sessions. You're trying to manage multiple dishes, but the layout fights you at every turn. You're carrying hot pots farther than necessary, which creates safety concerns. Ingredients are far from where you actually need them. The space that should support your cooking instead creates obstacles and inefficiency. What makes this particularly regrettable is that layout is the hardest thing to fix post-renovation. You can swap light fixtures without major work, update hardware in an afternoon, even change countertops if you're willing to spend the money. But moving major appliances requires reworking plumbing, electrical, possibly gas lines. It's essentially another full renovation with all the associated costs and disruption. See why the work triangle remains relevant? It might be old school, but it reflects fundamental human movement patterns and task flow. Even if your kitchen is modern with additional features like second sinks, beverage centers, and multiple cook zones, you can expand the triangle into work zones. Before finalizing your layout, map your typical cooking process. Where do you naturally move? What paths do you repeat constantly? How can your layout support rather than hinder this flow? Your kitchen's fundamental efficiency depends on workflow decisions made before anything gets installed. Get this right, and everything else falls into place. Get it wrong, and no amount of beautiful finishes compensates for daily friction. If you're dealing with any of these kitchen design mistakes right now, the good news is most aren't permanent disasters. Some require working around limitations. Others are fixable without complete renovation. Understanding these mistakes before you begin means making different choices. Choices that create kitchens you'll genuinely love using for the next 15 years. Which of these mistakes are you trying to avoid? Or which one are you living with and wishing you'd done differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.